Back and thank you for joining us. It's time to review the front pages of our national dailies. We'll start with Daily Trust. Hospital bill worse than cancer, says patients. That's on pages 3 and 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Community celebrates release of abducted bandits leader, and that's on page 10 of the Daily Trust. ICPC detains ex-Nimasa boss Jamo. That's on page 30 of the Daily Trust newspaper. NECO, 9,016 candidates engage in malpractice, and that's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And lastly, drivers missing as Boko Haram intercept trucks in Borno, and that's on page 37 of the Daily Trust newspaper. If you want more on the headlines, do well to grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
All right, next up we have the Punch newspaper. Right in front it says electricity subsidy, federal government to deduct 3.6 trillion naira from federation account as federal government begins sharing of power subsidy burden with states, local governments. 1.2 trillion naira to be deducted yearly. Now this is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. At the top we have bandits kill 13 fresh Kwara and Katsina attacks. That's on page 43. Genocide accusations, United States Congress panels hold new session on Nigeria today. That's on page 2 if you want more. We have NPO to Tinubu regulate foreign platforms or lose Nigerian media. That is on page 43. We have convention showdown. PDP governors resist Wike bloc's move to dismantle committees. That's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
By joining us this morning to review the front pages of our national dailies is former Director News Voice of Nigeria, Ben Shamang. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you once again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, let's start with the Daily Trust. A hospital bill worse than cancer, says patients. I mean, for many patients in Nigeria battling with cancer, their only worry is the bills that they have to pay in the hospital. What is your take on this?
I've had reasons to interact with some people who are, loved ones who have patients, cancer patients, and how much they pay every week. Sometimes it's killing itself. And when you look at the processes, every consultation you have to do, every move is all about money. And you have to pay, you pay and show receipt before they move to do anything. And when I see that they said cancer centers in Nigeria, every geopolitical zone now has a cancer center. For a population of how many people? It's so abysmal. It's just down low there in terms of a population that is well over 200 million people. And I can see the Ture Yaradua Center here. Since that time, that place is virtually inhibited by lizards, frogs, and in fact, reptiles. You know, one would have thought that the government would have taken that to a higher level. And when we begin to also say the experts are just not available, the machines are not available, when some people, when you look at how much is being stolen, and those who are doing the stealing, they go for their own treatments abroad, it tells you how bad the situation is. So I think that government should have a rethink in terms of welfare, in terms of health delivery, healthcare delivery. Much will have to be done to save Nigerians. It's so abysmal. It's just down there. For a country like Nigeria, giant of Africa, no. We need the experts, we need the equipment. And when they say even the machines to handle cancer in Nigeria, they are so few, very, very few, compared with how many patients we have in the country. The experts have spoken, and nobody has contradicted what they said.
All right, now let's look at this headline. Community celebrates release of abducted bandits leader. Now, we've seen that about a week ago. Abdullahi in Kazana State in Jibia was, according to them, abducted by the kingpin, Bello Turji, and now his return back to the community is cause for celebration. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, usually when you have a loved one been in captivity, there's always the prayer. You sell virtually everything to ensure that such a person is released. And when finally the person is released, I mean, you can imagine the jubilation. It has happened to many of my families, so I have the experience. We contribute and contribute. You sell virtually everything you have to ensure that the such people are set free. Businesses will die thereafter. So it's understandable when some communities begin to celebrate their loved one is
When it comes
released.
to this
But
case,
again, when you look
Abdullahi,
at
a bandit leader,
when criminals are also being celebrated at the point, I mean, it's what you can call the tragedy of the ruled. I mean, some people who have already committed crimes, and by the time they are held, by the time they are released, I mean, look at ordinary, I won't say ordinary, even stealing in public funds. By the time a leader in court is arrested, you find communities protesting. By the time he's released, you find them, they are now jubilating that theirs has been set free. I mean, aviation, airport remodeling, the money disappeared, and we see some people receiving chieftaincy titles, So when criminals are being celebrated, sometimes it gives a lot of concern to Nigerians and to everybody who has conscience.
All right, Mr. Ben Shamang, there's this headline on the Punch newspaper: electricity subsidy, federal government to deduct 3.6 trillion naira from federation account. Just recently, the federal government announced a major policy shift requiring state governments to share the burden of electricity subsidies, with plans to deduct a total of 3.6 trillion naira from the federation account between 2026 and 2028. What is your take on this?
You see, the federal government is biting so much more than it can chew. There are too many things that are simply lying on the shoulders of the federal government. You see all sorts of federal roads that are inside states. Some state governors will refuse to construct or reconstruct those roads because they said they belong to federal government. And so when we're talking about electricity, and every time it has to be federal government this, federal government this, I think that time has come that government should shed some of the overloads that is that is hanging on its shoulder, and therefore state governments should go into electricity generation, distribution, and anything commercial. That makes it better. So each time you now say that the federal government has to augment, you have to help the state government to ensure that there is electricity, to ensure that there are good roads. It doesn't augur well. Why is it that there's so much money given to state governments? You don't see some of the things being done in terms of dividends of democracy, things you can see physically, in spite of the fact that they snatch local government funds. Kudos to Governor Zulum of Borno State. He has decided that any dime given to state government, to local government, the local governments will simply have their money. All that you do is to just put an eye and see how they are using this money. And that's the best thing to do. I remember those days during media tour around 2022 or 2021 or something. You see, journalists went around to see what governments were doing. And at that time, governors had not started tampering with local government funds. Each time we went to a state, you have federal projects, you have state projects, you have local government chairman will be begging that they should also inspect their projects. But today, which local government chairman can hit his chest and say, this is what they've been able to do? So if they allow electricity, federal government takes charge. You also, state governments, you also even look at the railway system in Abuja here. Why is it that FCT cannot buy the trains and simply roll on the tracks? They are just there rotting away, nothing. Why are we like this? Who is doing this to us? Like they always ask in Nigeria.
All right, let's look at this headline on the Punch. It says genocide accusations, United States Congress panels hold new session in on Nigeria today. What is your take on this, and how do you think this session would pan out for Nigeria? Since we've seen they've done their investigations, as well as brought relief when it came to the airstrike that we saw. And what do you think this session, or the discussion at this session would be?
Well, I think that this session would just bring to the front burner what is happening in Nigeria, and is also going to take stock of what those who came in to find out what they found out will make some presentations. But the overall intention is to put Nigeria on its toes, to take the fight against terrorism seriously, and to also ensure that, look, people live harmoniously, irrespective of the religious divide. So I'm not sure that the government should be panicking. I'm not also sure that Nigerians should be happy. Okay, they are coming to protect one religion against the other. How do you protect Tinubu's wife against Tinubu? Because you have a Muslim Christian ticket in that family. So when people begin to say, no, they'll come to protect Christians, I think that it goes beyond that. Let there be just that pressure. Let there be that America coming to say, let us help to fight terrorism in Nigeria. The same Trump has even swallowed some of his words, where he's saying that the killings are both on both sides, Muslims, Christians. It's not as if only one side is killing. One side could be receiving more of the heat, but the presentation today in America, I think, is just going to bring to bear what is happening in Nigeria, and if there are areas they can assist in terms of weapons, in terms of advice and all that stuff. So be it. And I can see that the African command of the US, they're already sending some special forces to entrench more of the training in Nigeria to fight terrorism. So I think it's the best thing to be done between Nigeria and America.
Mr. Ben Sharman, quickly, NPO to Tinubu, regulate foreign platforms or lose Nigerian media. I mean, the Nigerian Press Organization has warned that the nation's social cohesion, security, and democratic governance are being put at risk by unregulated global digital gatekeepers. I mean, this is a call for President Tinubu to do the needful. So what is your take on this?
Yes, you are into broadcasting. You have a Nigerian Broadcasting Commission to regulate broadcasting. You also have the newspapers, NPC newspapers. What is it now? To regulate the newspaper industry in Nigeria. So when it comes to the social media, who is regulating them? And that's why. How many times have they announced that the Senate president was dead? How many times have they announced that former head of state Yakubu Gowon was dead? How many times do they say all sorts of things that will hit up the polity? Nobody's regulating them, because everybody feels that this, once you have an Android phone, you can snap, you can have videos, and you just post. In terms of etiquettes, in terms of consequences, they don't want to know all of that. All they want is, let me have followers, let me just create content. Content without consequences is a serious problem to Nigeria. So I think that it should be controlled. As we are talking today, France is even saying, look, teenagers should not go into the social media. Australia has already made a law. Britain is considering one. So why should Nigeria just say, oh, it's free on board? No matter how liberal we want the media to be, I think there has to be control. And there's also what we call the social responsibility theory. This story you're about posting, is it going to bring harmony or disharmony? So I think that, yes, we need to control the social media.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Ben Shamang, for reviewing our national dailies this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, with that, we've come to the end of Daybreak this morning. Thank you to all our viewers and those that called in to contribute, as well as our guests. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. so don't miss out on Daybreak. I'm Hopwa Adam Kiawa. Thank you for watching.
And I am Memuna Bagudu. Follow us on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more news and programs. So have a lovely day and stay safe.